महोदयैः यदुक्तं तत् सत्यमेव। पनसबीजावापनं कृत्वा आम्रवृक्षं यदि प्रतीक्षामहे चेत् वयं कीदृशाः मूर्खाः भवामः। तद्वत् बालावस्थायां विद्याबोधनं विना यदि ते युवावस्थायां संस्कारवन्तः भवेयुः इति अस्माकं प्रतीक्षा तद्वदेव भवति। महान् आनन्दः महोदय। अधुना अस्माकं विशिष्टातिथिमहोदयः उदय श्रेयस् महोदयः। अयं वस्तुतः युवा अस्ति। युवावस्थायामेव संस्कृतक्षेत्रे महान् कृतश्रमः अस्ति। महोदयः बिट्स् पिलानी इति विद्यालये स्व अभियान्त्रिकी विद्यां समाप्य तदनन्तरं संस्कृतं प्रति आकृष्टः, संस्कृतम् अधीयानः संस्कृतस्य प्रचारं कुर्वन् अस्ति। अयं महोदयः अन्तर्जाले यूट्यूब् माध्यमेन तत्र द संस्कृत चैनल इति माध्यमं संस्थाप्य तत्र संस्कृतभाषायाः बोधनम् एवं तत्सम्बद्धि कलाः याः सन्ति तासामपि बोधनं करोति। अभियान्त्रिकविद्यां पठित्वा तस्याः विद्यायाः संस्कृतप्रचारे प्रसारे बोधने च कथम् उपयोगः भवति इति ज्ञात्वा समीचीनतया अद्यतनीयं यूनाम् आकर्षणार्थं महान् श्रमः करोति। अद्य अत्र आगत्य स्व अनुभवम् अत्र अस्माभिः सह वदतु इति अहम् उदय श्रेयस् महाभागं प्रार्थये।
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। नमो सभापतिभ्यः। नमः सभायै। अनुगृहीतोऽस्मि अद्य अहं यत् मम ज्येष्ठाः ज्ञानवृद्धाः तपोवृद्धाः मम सुहृद्वर्याः मम कार्यं संस्कृतकार्यं साङ्केतिकक्षेत्रे अभिनन्दनीयम् इति मन्यन्ते। अहं तु स्वं शिशुः इत्येव मन्ये यस्य संस्कृतज्ञानतृष्णा दिनदिनप्रवर्धमाना एव अस्ति। सा एव तृष्णा मह्यं प्रेरयति। श्रोतुं शक्नुवन्ति वा सर्वे? किञ्चित् संस्कृतमाध्यमेन उक्त्वा तदनन्तरम् आङ्ग्ले वदामि। यथा उक्तं सा तृष्णा सर्वदा वर्धते एव। सा एव तृष्णा मां प्रेरयति अध्ययने, स्वाध्यायने, अध्यापने च। निपुणः तु नास्मि कस्मिन्नपि क्षेत्रे, परन्तु यावत् शक्यं कार्यं करोमि। And that was what brought me here, and that's what inspires me. The amount of knowledge systems that we have in Sanskrit, it's just an endless ocean. And it all just started as a hobby. I was just curious about the language. This Sanskrit was just among one of the many languages. I was just dabbling with Japanese, French, Spanish, German, all sorts of foreign languages which the youth fancy. And Sanskrit was just one of them. And it just swallowed me whole and transformed my entire way of life, my perspective of living, and it took me on a path of yoga and spirituality and adhyatma, and which I'm extremely grateful for in my life. But as I was saying, the study of Sanskrit and the teaching of Sanskrit is what has been of immense value in my life, and that is what I experienced. I came a couple of days early to take advantage of the hospitality of the Madras Sanskrit College and sat with the students there. Hi guys. And it's just amazing to see that the students here are so dedicated. It's quite different from how, and they realize it. Generally students who take Sanskrit, unfortunately, Sanskrit is not one among the top options for students in at large. But the students here are of a different caliber altogether, and sitting in their classes, I realize the potential that they have, and I talk to them a little bit about the scope of success there is, because as Hariharan Mahodaya was saying, I did mention that unfortunately or fortunately there is so much to be done in Sanskrit. And even if it has been done in the past, something like Ramayanam, something like Mahabharatam, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, even if people do it 1,000 times and do it 1,001st time, there are still going to be audiences. And like that, there are millions of topics to cover, and every time I go to a library, I just go into a TZ, just looking at the amount of knowledge there is. I just borrowed a couple of books, Tantra Samuchaya, which talks about the proportions of temple idols, and there is a specific geometry in which they are made. There is enormous science behind creation of each aspect of the temple. And as technology progresses, as Sanskrit people know how to leverage these technological media and present these aspects of our past in a media which is tangible and which people can see and immediately appreciate. Watch for 5 minutes some small concept, because not everybody is as committed as these students here who come for 3 years, stay in a committed atmosphere, but they can be torch bearers of this knowledge to the future. And I was in a blessed space where I had this knowledge of how to leverage technology. I was working in the tech field, but at the same time, somehow by some sort of grace, happened to come across Sanskrit and got deeper to some extent I could in the field. So my doors are always open, and the initial topic that I thought for my talk today would be just give some tips and tricks of the trade as to how to make videos, how to present, what kind of metrics to keep in mind to gather people's attention, because that is what it's all going to be about. It's about how you get people's attention to the subject that you are interested in presenting. But after coming here, after looking at the amount of dedication and devotion they have towards their learning, I feel proud that I'm a part of, I get to interact with students like this. Krishna Swamin Mahodayasya Murtihi Asti Tatra. Just looking at it, I just get a sense of pride. Looking at his face, there is this sense of utmost, the sense of devotion and pride that comes with devotion of dedicating one's life to something which is much, much, much higher than one's own self, and they are already on a path towards that. And coming to the topic that I planned anyways, the media that is going to be for the future is completely content creator focused. So right now, content as it is, so there are 3 generations of the internet. As we know, internet as a technology is evolving in itself, the platform itself. So there are so many platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever comes up, ODC in the future, and all sorts of platforms belong to Web 2.0. There was a time of the internet, probably many students don't know, where multimedia sending and receiving was not this seamless. There was a time when it was a bit of a hassle. That was Web 1.0. Now it's Web 2.0, where large corporations control who gets to see what data. If you make Sanskrit content, or if you make something which doesn't go immediately viral, that is why we see such frivolous content, for a lack of a better word, which goes viral. People's attention spans are getting lower and lower. We are in this generation of Web 2.0, where it's the large corporations which control how people consume data. But as there's work going on, and in the next 5 to 10 years, I see a pattern where both how content is recommended to the consumers and how content creators are rewarded is going to be much, much more individual centric rather than platform centric. So for that, what kind of media can there be? Starting with basic images, to audio recordings, to video clippings, to interviews, to this new form of content consumption with virtual reality, and content is becoming more and more tangible. You can almost not just see and hear, but also smell, touch, and play around and be in that environment, just content around it. That's where the world is going towards. And that has enormous scope. As many experts in the field keep saying, if there is huge exponential success that can be seen in the future, it's in the field of coding and in the field of content creation. So all of us, there is again this kind of a downer statement that the scope for anybody who takes up Sanskrit is either priesthood or a teacher. But those need not necessarily be restricting fields, because who are we essentially? We are bearers of knowledge. We are a bridge between the glorious wisdom of our ancients and the next generations who are seeking that knowledge. As we get more and more connected as people like this, people keep working and more awareness spreads. And also, as Mahodaya suggested, as yada yada hi dharmasya glanir abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham, which need not necessarily also, there are many interpretations, but one way of looking at it is also, as frivolous content keeps growing more and more, people will eventually get tired of it. There is a point where it, kind of vexes you, and then people look for deeper stuff, and we need to be ready as people who are actually aware of what the potential is in our scriptures. So I urge you all to just imbibe your content as much as possible, just to pay attention, turn inwards, savidyaya vimuktaya, as Mahodaya also suggested. So, and this, there is going to be enormous demand for it. There already is, and I have been taking advantage of it alone almost, and there have been a few people like me, and but there is enough room for all of us. If all of us take up one text and just making short videos, almost all students across the country have enough texts to make content on. And as I keep saying this statement again and again in my videos, Bharat Vishwaguru ban sakta hai, Bharat Vishwaguru ban sakta hai is a constant trope, but it is true. But Bharat nahi banega, it's not a country which becomes, it's the individual students who can rise up and throw light on the precious content of our past. So my doors are always open. I again will interact with you guys before I go. And there are so many ideas, as you have already must have seen. There is a Shloka a Day app, and there are games that can come up. And even if you're not technically savvy, you can always collaborate. You can always bring in resources for skills that you don't have. And my doors are always open. So please get stronger in your own fields, study deeper, and thank you all for the opportunity. And congratulations to the digital campus of the Madras Sanskrit College, and thank you. Shubharatri.
धन्यवादः महोदय. महोदयं राङ्कवस्त्रेण एवं स्मारकवस्तुप्रदानेन च सम्मानयन्तु इति प्राचार्यवर्यान् एवं गुरुमूर्तिमहोदयान् च प्रार्थये. भारतस्य प्रतिष्ठे द्वे, संस्कृतं संस्कृतिश्च इति उक्तिः तु ज्ञाता, परन्तु प्रतिष्ठाद्वयस्य प्रसारार्थम् अद्यत्वे साङ्केतिकतायाः अपि अपेक्षा अस्ति इति महोदयस्य भाषणेन ज्ञातं.